I'll go ahead and mute myself.
All right. Okay, thank you for your patience. All right, so good morning and welcome to the Employability Skills Series, where we explore the top skills employers are looking for in candidates. Each week, we will cover different topics with thoughts and insights from professionals in a variety of industries. I am your host, Megan Morrow, Senior Associate Director of Experiential Learning and Employer Relations. And today I have Angel Negron, owner of Angel's Air Heating and Cooling, as my guest, and we will be discussing the importance of taking the initiative in the workplace. So good morning, Angel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, and my apologies for the tardiness. No excuse, but I'm here. I'm ready to go.
No worries, no worries. We're adaptable. That's what we do. Fun, friendly, and flexible.
Well,
Angel,
I gotta take accountability.
and I'm looking at your dashboard.
Am I? Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow, he's on the struggle bus this morning.
I am a better air conditioning guy than I am a techie here. So let me see how. Is that better?
There we go.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. So I didn't have a bio for you. I don't know why, but would you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll get started?
Absolutely. Well, again, my name is Angel Negron. I am the owner and operator of Angel's Air Heating and Cooling. I've been in business doing HVAC for 20 years now. I've been licensed for a little over 11 years. So I know a little bit about what I do. And my biggest thing is customer service, and we offer customer service. Air conditioning is a perk of my business. And it's been doing well for me. You know what I mean? I take 100% accountability of what happens here because I am the guy that ultimately has to answer all the questions of why, where, and when things happen. So that's worked well for me, and I've been successful since I've started.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on your successful business. So today we are talking about taking the initiative, and especially when I asked you to be my guest for this, I felt like you would be someone to really like a good view from this particular topic. And I think we talked about this maybe even last year as well. I think this was the same one that you were a guest on. But so what is it like? What does it mean? What's the importance of taking the initiative? What does that mean for you?
It's very important, especially when you're an emergency type service business. You have to understand, what your goal is, and sometimes you have to do things outside of your comfort level in order to get what you want, and that doesn't mean something negative. That just means going above and beyond, and take the initiative. If you're there to change a filter, check their drain lines and make sure that that's going to be not going to be a problem in the near future. Go above and beyond what you were asked to do, especially if there's goals in your life you want to reach. Nowadays everybody seems to be a little entitled to getting things, but if you go out there and just do what you're supposed to do, and sometimes go a little bit beyond what the call of duty is, you're going to be very successful.
So in your industry specifically, when have you seen people who have taken the initiative? I know you said if you're cleaning the filter, check the drain line, all those other little things. As an owner and operator of a successful business, when have you seen people in your industry take the initiative, and how has that positively impacted your company?
That's a great question. I had to create a checklist for some of my service techs early on. As a new business owner, I assume that I can rely on people's experience and the fact that they're going to go out there and take the initiative and make sure that they, cross all their T's and dot all their I's. And unfortunately, I had a technician one time with 20 years of experience. He went out to a call on an evening, and unfortunately the homeowner hadn't changed his filter, so the air conditioner stopped working and froze up. So he noticed that the filter was dirty and had them change it, and went about his day. Didn't realize that the system was frozen, and it seemed to be cooling because of all the ice that was in the unit. Unfortunately, it stopped working again, and because we didn't go through the system, it was my choice to be responsible and have to pay for that. customer's new blower that burned out because he didn't take the initiative to open the unit and make sure that everything was working like it's supposed to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that impacted my business because now instead of making money, we have to spend money to help a customer out and unfortunately replaces his blower motor that we never diagnosed properly.
And you're kind of a smaller company. You don't have like 100 techs. Like how many people are in your company?
Oh, it's me and my two sons, and I got two other employees. So we're very small. We're very
Yeah.
small. So it's that's why it's, and I like to stay that small because unfortunately, people don't like to take the initiative to go above and beyond nowadays. You know what I mean? You have to babysit them. So I had to change the whole process in my business and create a checklist. So you had to go out and go through this checklist before I can assume that you finished that call, and you have to submit this paperwork with you to make sure that we dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's and never had to spend money again to learn that lesson.
Yeah, especially as a smaller company, that has got to be incredibly frustrating for you as the business owner to have to like you said, babysit, and then that does cost you money versus having a team that that you can trust that's going to go out there and do the things as if you were doing them. And that's something
Correct.
that I know that I talk about a lot in my class about how business owners really are looking for people to add to their team that they would be just as passionate about what they do as the owner does, so that you have that level of trust that you're like, okay, I know if you send Johnny and Angel out to a job site, they're going to do what they need to do. And if they have questions, they'll call and get clarification. So taking that initiative to say, okay, I don't know the answer, let me go find it for you, versus having people you don't trust that are going out and going, okay, well, I don't know, or just like fudging it because they don't know what, and then like you said, it's now costing you money.
But
How do you address that with people who are kind of making it more difficult for you to move forward in your business?
well, I'm a big believer in attitude reflects leadership. So, I got to be smarter than them. And unfortunately, some people you just have to let go because they're not going to change their ways. You know what I mean? And I reward those that do go above and beyond the call of duty and take the initiative, because on the same note, I've had Junior go out and save us from having to replace the ceiling because he did check the drain line. I taught him well from the beginning. He knew that those were one of the biggest problems that you will run into in our industry, and it could be one of the devastating parts of taking your whole business down. So, knowing that he's eventually going to be the owner of the business, he's already starting off on a good foot.
That's awesome. Again, having people that you trust on a team, especially a smaller team, so that it's like all the work isn't on one person. I know I also operate on a very small team as well. I mean, my team is within a larger team, but my team is relatively small. And it's very important that I know that I can rely on the members of my team. Like if I'm going to do an event, they're going to come. Actually, two of my team members are here supporting me right now. Listening in on the call, being here for us. If I go, if I'm going to put on something at the college, they're going to be there. And I also know that if I need help, I don't necessarily always have to ask for it. They're going to be there asking if they can help. And that makes a huge difference.
Well, being successful doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be rich and famous. You know what I mean? You could be live in abundance and have a very normal life, like we do. You do what you love to do, and I'm sure you have a happy life. I'm the same way. I live a very average life. I drive a Ford Edge. It's not like I drive a Mercedes Benz or anything like that. You know what I mean? And I live a very happy life. I do what I want, and yeah, I'm teaching my boys the same thing. So taking the initiative could take you a long way. It's not about the money. I've had the big companies, and I wasn't happy. Now I have a small company, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
That's
You know.
so huge. I stress that so much in class and when I talk to my students about loving what you do, having a good work-life balance, enjoying what you do gives you so much satisfaction. I know you have told me in the past when you did have a larger company and you were making, buku dollars and you had, hundreds of techs, but it was just so stressful.
Oh
having to
yeah.
check, the GPS of the trucks, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. You didn't have a team that you trusted, that you could say, like, I know that these are my guys and they're out doing what they're supposed to be doing. It was incredibly stressful, which didn't create a good work-life balance for you.
Absolutely not. I was 80 pounds heavier and slept way less than I do now. And that was a rough life, and but in on paper it looks like I lived a great life, you know. But and at the drop of a dime I took the initiative and I gave up that crazy life for something more simple and something that made me a lot happier.
That's something I want to kind of dive into, is that not just taking the initiative like at work, but also like in your life, instead of sitting around waiting for things to happen to you, getting out there and making things happen for you. So what does that look like for you, Angel?
You choose your hard, you know what I mean? You choose your hard. Everything is going to be hard in your life. Helping someone cross the street, old lady cross the street, is hard. It's hard to make that decision, you know what I mean? But when you finally choose the hard that you want, you got to go after it. You got to go for it, you know what I mean? And that's what I did. I chose the hard decision to walk away from 50 vehicles and having a financial life that was kind of free. You know what I mean? But I still live free. I still go on vacations and when I want to go, but I don't have to live the 50 vehicles and 24/7 on call and being stressed, high blood pressure. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, so when you made that decision to leave, that was a whole lifestyle decision for you as
Complete,
well.
complete lifestyle decision. But it's the best idea that I've ever done in my life. But it was hard too because I was responsible for so much, so I lost a lot walking away.
Yeah. Yeah, but no regrets.
No regrets, absolutely none.
That's awesome. Let's go back to this whole idea of like taking the initiative. Like, I know that you rely a lot on Junior. He's like your right hand guy. What is it that he does that's so different than, say, a tech that you don't trust? What is it that gives you that sense of security, knowing that he's going to get out there and do what he's supposed to be doing?
He cares. He asks questions and he cares. He takes notes. He applies what he learns. I get so many guys that I employ. In fact, I had a guy 2 weeks ago. He worked for me 6 days, actually 5.5 days, because the last day he worked for me, he had to go home sick. He didn't feel good, and I gave him the opportunity that morning. I said, if you don't feel good, you should stay home, because I had to pick him up from his house. You should stay home because we're not going to have an easy day. No, I'll feel better. And halfway through the day, he asked me to take him home. That's the last day he ever worked for me because he didn't take the initiative to take the opportunity to stay on my good side and stay home that day. I had to change my whole day and bring him back home because he was, you know, throwing up at a customer's house and making the business look bad. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. So Junior is, he cares. He cares. There's a big difference. He doesn't worry about the money. He wants to know that what he's doing represents him well in the business.
That's a good point that you make, because he is representing your business. And I know
Correct.
that that is important for employers when they are looking to add people to their team. Who is going to represent you and what you stand for out in the community? Would you tell us that story about those guys that were in your shirts and your vehicles, and they were at that restaurant where you had to intervene
Oh
with the
my
waitress?
goodness. Yeah, absolutely. I got a phone call. They were, at an IHOP actually having breakfast in my uniform, driving my vehicles, and I got a phone call from one of the waitresses that one of my guys was being very disrespectful to their waitress, very rude and just using bad language, made her very uncomfortable. I called the supervisor on duty that day. He confirmed she wouldn't talk to me because she didn't want nobody in trouble or any she didn't want that situation to go any further than them leaving the restaurant. But they came back to the office and were fired right away. When you represent the business, you have to take the initiative to uphold those standards that business represents. You know what I mean? If you want to work there, you have to go by their rules, or start your own business. Take the initiative and start your own business and create your own rules and do what you want out there. But ultimately, if you work for somebody, you have to do what they want you to do, and then sometimes you have to go above and beyond if you have goals to move up in that business as well. Because the opportunity is always there. The opportunity is always there. You just got to be able to recognize it and take action.
I like that story simply because it also shows you taking the initiative as the business owner, and protecting the people in the community that you are serving. And that is huge, especially in your industry. You're going into people's homes, and it may be a single woman or somebody with kids. They have to be able to trust you and know that, that you're going to come in, you're going to be fair, you're going to be honest. And that is something that people say about you all the time, that you're fair and you're honest, and, they know that they feel like they can trust you. And that takes a lot. That doesn't just happen. That is, you made it happen for yourself and for your business and for what you're doing for the community. And when you called that restaurant and then fired those guys, I mean, that was really like you taking the initiative to say, that, sorry, we got a chat from Meredith.
He distracted me too, because I saw my name through my peripheral, and
yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. But yeah, taking the initiative to protect that waitress, because it is your business. That's something that people know. And I mean, that goes a long way versus, because you could have just been like, well, what do you want me to do about it? They're not on the job site, they're having breakfast, it's before work anyway, so it's not really my problem. But no, you took that step and went, a further step to say, no, you're not going to represent our company and treat people in our community that way. And that's why I just absolutely love that story and how you just kind of stood up for somebody that you didn't even know.
It's the right thing to do, and that's where, sometimes people aren't prepared for me to do the right thing, or even whether I'm right or wrong. I'm always going to take accountability, especially if it's something that happened in your home. You know what I mean? Because I didn't ask, I asked to be there. You invited me in your home. It's not like you came looking for my services at my place. So it's important that, attitude reflects leadership, and my leadership needs to be the example of how I want things to happen.
I like that a lot. Well, what kind of advice or words of wisdom can you give to our students about taking the initiative and how they can maybe start to develop this skill? What are things that they can start doing now?
Oof, that's a loaded question, because I speak my mind. You know what I mean? And nowadays, unfortunately, there's so many people out there that are entitled that you have to set aside your ego, and especially if you have goals in your life to be successful, you sometimes have to do things that you aren't asked to do, when people aren't watching. Take the initiative to go above and beyond, understand what the job title that you're searching requires, and then be 2% better than that's required, and watch how your life change. Your life will completely change without, nobody watching or asking you to go that 2% more. It's really that simple. It's not that hard. It's hard not to go that 2% more, and it's hard to go the 2% more. Choose your heart.
Choose your heart. Choose your heart. Yeah, no, I know in my team, like the situation that I'm in, I have developed, a good rapport with my supervisor. She knows that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing at all times. She doesn't have to come and check on me and make sure that I'm here, or that I'm teaching my classes, or I've graded, the assignments, or that I'm doing the things. She has, faith and trust in me because I've developed that over time, because I have looked for ways that I could go above and beyond. I have tried to implement new initiatives here that are going to benefit the students, and that goes a long way. And that's also something to think about for those that are listening in on the call. Like, always be thinking what your next step is, and the things that you could be doing in your current role will help push you into either leadership roles, promotions, or things that you can build your resume that you have started. These things will look really enticing to employers, because then they'll look at the value that you brought to that organization, and that what you're going to bring to the next place. So always thinking about, how is this pushing me towards my goals? And if it's not, then maybe something to reevaluate and step back and say, maybe I need to go in a different direction. But that taking the initiative, saying like, I don't need to wait for somebody to tell me what to do. like if I've got some downtime, I know over the summer I had some downtime and I reached out to Meredith actually like, hey, is there something I can do to help you? I've got extra time. What can I do? And that goes a long way, you know, for my team member. She's like, awesome. I don't feel so alone. I have, you know, I have support. And so and then it's almost like a drop in the bucket when I need her help. I've helped her. She's going to help me in the future as well. So it goes a long way to not just sit around and wait for things to happen to you or fall in your lap or for somebody to come down and say, hey, you need to start doing this. Just go out and do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's worked in your life. I've been around you since you started working there, and you've taken initiative. Like this program right here is awesome. You don't have to do this for your kids. You know what I mean? And this is great. And from what I understand, you do this every week. So that's amazing. That's amazing. So a lot of accolades to you for taking the initiative and going above and beyond the Call of Duty. Oh, wait a minute. You know what I mean? So yeah, you just gotta go do it. You know, gotta understand what really is the goal and go do it. You know, and do your research. Really understand what it's gonna take to be successful at that position. You know, the resume is gonna be your first step in the door. Make sure that the resume reflects what you're going after in that position. You know, and if it doesn't, you're just gonna be another sheet in the pile.
Oh, that's a good point that you brought up. Our last guest that we talked about, or that I had on here, he was talking a lot about, you know, you have to stand out, you have to stand out. And that's a good point that you just made. The beefier, more robust your resume is from the things that you have done in each of your jobs, it's going to help you stand out. And if an employer is, you know, between two candidates and they're looking at your resume and saying, okay, well, this one just did a whole lot of tasks and like duties. Whereas this resume over here, this person started these initiatives, they did these extra things. Wow, they're going to, you know, that was very valuable. They're going to bring that same value to my organization. So it does help you stand out and it does help you become the obvious choice for the employer when they're trying to decide who to hire. And in such a competitive market these days, I mean, we need all the edge we can get.
Correct. I mean, it's a politics. It's a political game. You know what I mean? I'm good. The employer wants to get as much for his buck as he can. So he's going to look for the candidate that brings the most to the table.
Awesome. I love it. Well, we're kind of coming up on our time, Angel. Do you have any last closing remarks or advice to give our students?
You know, the bottom line is when taking the initiative, just be prepared to do things that you're not, you know, ready to do, and be flexible. If you want to be successful, you got to be flexible in this world, and you got to be a little tough skin. People are going to be mean out there. They're not going to be nice to you or tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what you need to hear, and then listen. Once they tell you what you need to hear, listen. Don't play the victim.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. No, I just read an article about how employers are firing the Gen Z population because of some of this entitlement, some of this kind of laziness that, you know, that they're not looking for ways to continue to contribute. It's like, well, this is just my job. And that's probably one of the worst things you could possibly say is, oh, that's not my job. And, you know, if you're asked to help or, you know, and employers see that. They see who's stepping up, who's saying, hey, how can I help? What can I do? They see that versus the ones that are just like, oh, I'm just doing my job. If you want me to do something, I'm happy to help, but I'm not going to do it on my own. And that
Correct.
goes a long way.
Yep. Big time. Big time.
All right. Well, Angel, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and insights on this topic. I know that this is important to you, especially in your industry. Thank you for giving us a little bit of your morning, and everybody who joined us, thank you so much for being here. If you are counting your attendance, I do have on the screen the QR code that you can scan. I also put the link in the chat pod unless you're on your phone and you can't scan. So thank you, everybody. We will not have a call next week, but we will pick back up in 2 weeks. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Megan.
Bye.
Bye bye.